I kind of like the new intro music. It's not that intense countdown music anymore. We're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Sohail, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today, I'm joined by my friend Marcelo, who did the whole Star Trek Discovery discussion, and Toddy's backstage getting ready. So as soon as he has his setup ready, I'll put him on stage. He can hear me. But his shuttle was a little bit late. He had to go to the future and come back. Marcel, it's so nice to see you. Well, to hear you. Marcel's going to be off camera today.
Yeah, I'm having audio problems, but I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here at long last.
You mean you're having video problems?
Yeah, video problems. Yeah.
But that being said, your avatar, drawn by one of our mutual friends, is pretty fabulous. That's a really great likeness of you, with that long, flowing, lush hair.
Yeah,
and now
I love it.
The Toddy is here. Disco Toddy. I thought you would be Disco Toddy tonight.
Disco Toddy. Am I on ship mic or am I okay?
You sound good. Am I on ship mic?
No.
Okay. Marcel is definitely not on ship mic.
Hello everyone. Hi Marcelo.
Hey Toddy, it's nice to see you.
I haven't talked to you in a while. Yeah.
No, it's been a minute.
That's what we're all about here, is reuniting folks who haven't seen each other in a long time. Hello to the audience. We got a nice group in the audience. It's good to see you, Benji, Daniel. Oh, cool. Dan Cio's there. Cake is Eternal, Jill, and Art's here too. Very cool. And and Joel's here too. Very nice. So yeah, we're ready to. Oh, we lost Toddy. We lost him. What did he do? He hit the back button like I did before. Hold on. Did you hit the back button?
No, I wanted to change my background, but it wants me to log in, so it's a whole situation. So you know what?
No, you just go to settings.
No, because I'm not logged in.
Oh.
It wants me to log in, so I have to use the ones that I already have. So you know what? The animated series, it will be. It's okay.
It's all right. Yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah. So Toddy, we're gonna start off a little different than usual. We're gonna give our opening statements about Discovery as a series. So I'll go first. I'll kick us off. What does that say?
Loyalty, kindness, honesty, and friendship.
Oh, I love that.
Those are the values of Hufflepuff.
That's very nice. That's very sweet. Hey, and Ruben's there. Nice to see you, Ruben. So Discovery and I had a rocky start. I loved the pilot episode. I did not love the first season. Second season was much better. Captain Pike blew me away. I was like really happy about him. But I still didn't like that the show was set so close to TOS and didn't line up with my kind of visual, idea of what that era should look like. I got over that, by the way, which Discovery helped me do. But then when it jumped into its third season, I think after that, I just started loving the show completely. So I was really, enjoying it. I loved it when Burnham became captain. That's like what I felt. She always had that captain energy. She was always, the captain really, but to have her have the official title was really meaningful. I loved, kind of like that the crew followed her into the future. I loved this new landscape that they painted for the future, what it was like, and everything else. And I was really sad that Discovery only got 5 seasons. I really thought they would get 7 seasons, but 5 seasons is not bad for shows. I mean, The Expanse got 6 seasons. By the way, Toddy.
Wow. Oh my god.
I got it on Blu-ray. We got to talk
Where's
about
mine? You didn't know to mine? What's going on?
Oh, okay. I know. When's your birthday?
No, don't worry about it.
I'll get you one. I just don't know if it works in Canada. And now with tariffs and everything, it might cost like 7 times more. So, we'll see. We'll get it to you somehow. I'll smuggle it in. But anyways, my Discovery was just, I feel like it was just getting its stride, especially this last season. If you don't count the epilogue, which is beautiful in my opinion, but if you don't count it, it was a pretty solid end to the season, and there's a lot of like neat things to look forward to. I was really looking forward to Renner, right? Rainer becoming the co-captain or the first officer of the Discovery. And I loved the way that they resolved the progenitor storyline from The Next Generation and everything, and it was really great. But on top of that, the icing, since they knew they were ending and they got a chance to do it the way they wanted to, they built in this beautiful epilogue. Thank you, Jill Rayner. This beautiful epilogue that kind of wrapped up the show really nicely and painted a cool picture and tied it in to Calypso, which everyone was wondering, like, how the heck are they gonna connect? And it connected beautifully. So to me, I think it's always special when a Star Trek show is finished. It's complete. I feel like that's like the close of a book, a chapter, whatever you want to call it. And even though I like my Star Trek to go on forever, it's nice to have a complete ending. And so I think Star Trek Discovery had one of the nicest endings you could have for a Star Trek show. So yeah, that's it. What about you, Marcelo?
Yeah, Star Trek Discovery is like a love-and-hate relationship with me because it really introduced me to this side of the fandom, and it's been delightful. It's been horrifying. It's been joyful. It's been So Star Trek Discovery was responsible for me becoming a Star Trek pundit online and meeting all of you wonderful people. So the journey outweighed the things about the show that I really didn't like. Yeah.
And how about Saudi?
Me? I have to talk about Discovery?
Ooh. Yeah, the series.
Ooh, that's interesting. No, I do want to kind of like punctuate what Marcelo said. So completely out of the context of the show, I guess. I think Discovery did something quite beautiful for like me personally. It really introduced me to this, like, I guess the creator side of the fandom, which has been a joy from day one. Like, getting to start creating content and talking about Star Trek with people that I've been watching for a while. You know what I mean? Irish Trekkie, what have you? To be introduced to you, my good sir, and doing like TNG conversations and all of that, and like all of that stemmed from the existence of what was once called Star Trek 2017. So like what Discovery became. So like that's huge. And then like Mission Chicago came from it. So like Marcelo says, like there's a journey there that I think I couldn't have gotten without basically Discovery existing. Discovery as a show, I think I'm kind of like you. I've had my ups and downs with it. It's been enigmatic and puzzling in a lot of ways. I know it tried to be very bold in what it was doing, and sometimes I think that it confused that boldness with impetuousness, or just wanting to like change things completely. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes you got to be careful with properties that are very treasured by a lot of people. So my beginning was a bit rough with Discovery. I think season 2 remains one of my favorites, and I think season 5 is one of my favorites as well. I think they might be like equal as my favorites for the show. But I do think that eventually, like, it found a certain footing with season 3 that was interesting and unique. And I think that as time will go on, what we will, or at least what I will remember of Discovery, is very much more so like season 3, 4, 5. So everything that came after the grand time jump than everything that was before. So yeah. It is a bookend, and it's always a little bittersweet to see these things end. But Discovery got a run. It got a fair run. So the Lower Decks, some other shows didn't quite get a fair run. So yeah.
Wait a second. What show didn't get a fair run?
Prodigy.
Oh, hey, Prodigy. We're not throwing in the towel on Prodigy yet. Come on.
We're not. I'm not.
We haven't heard a no. They have not said no. So, I'm still hopeful about Prodigy. It's true.
Fair enough.
Unless I missed something. I didn't miss any news, right?
I mean, no news is good news, right?
Or just anxiety inducing wait, but I have hope that Prodigy is going to get yay, the visuals are working. He's there,
he's out and about.
We got some nice comments from the audience about the show too, and I agree with Fathery. By the way, after this, or actually we're going to try to wrap up really quickly, but at 8 Fathery's going to do Fathery's doing a discussion on Tech Trek, so go tune into that with Miss Taylor, who's going to be giving you her takes on the Berman era, so check it out. Doug Jones alone made this great, throw in Martin Green and it is ridiculous. But what I was going to say is I share this sentiment too. The modern Trek era changed my life so much, so happy to be part of this community. I agree with you, Toddy, and 100% that disco kicked off like such a really cool thing for a lot of people. I started streaming a little bit before, I think, but it was all because I knew Star Trek was coming back to TV. So it was like coming back in some way. So it was all very exciting. And you know what? The Kurtzman era, if we're going to name it by producers, has been extremely controversial, but it's done a lot of great things with Star Trek. I mean, Discovery has spun off Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, Star Trek Picard wouldn't have been possible, I don't think, without Star Trek Discovery kicking off this new era, and Star Trek Prodigy. So, and now we're gonna get Star Trek Strange New Worlds. We got a movie, a direct to streaming movie, Section 31. Let's like
we did get a movie. I mean, you're correct.
we did get a movie though.
You are correct,
so,
sir.
No, and if I could just jump in here for one more final thought, and then we'll get started. The fact that one of my favorite writers of all time actually was responsible for bringing back Star Trek to TV. I will never get over that. The fact that one of my favorite writers actually wrote Star Trek. Whether you think it's good or not is up to you, but that is still the coolest thing I've ever. One of the coolest moments in fandom was when I found out that Alex Kurtzman was going to take over Star Trek on TV, and I'm like, oh wow, this is going to be a hell of a ride, and it was. And it still is.
And I think Star Trek Discovery brought in a lot of new fans, and there's a lot of people who really I've met that just love Discovery. Like that was their first Star Trek, and it's not a bad first Star Trek to have, in my opinion. So, real quick episode summary. This whole season, they've been on this chase to find the progenitor tech. We've had some crazy situations. We met these characters, Locke and Maul. We met Captain Raynor, and they all kind of come together in this last episode to find out what the heck the progenitor tech is. And Burnham and Maul find out. They get into this basically another dimension, or like a kind of a side dimension is what's on the other side of the portal, and it has gateways to a ton of different worlds, probably every world. I mean, this thing goes on forever and ever. And then you have 4 minutes. Thank you, Jill. Oh my gosh, I'm nervous now. Oh wow. It's how you got dramatic. But anyways, inside the progenitor tech, you have this gateway to all these different worlds, but hidden even within that is the true device, the true technology. And Burnham and Maul, through lots of strife, find this. Meanwhile, Captain Raynor and the crew of Discovery are trying to hold back the Breen from getting to the tech, and they have to do all kinds of crazy stuff. And they do this amazing move to send the Breen to the galactic barrier. Culber and Book have a great moment. Culber finds not the answers he was looking for, but he finds peace with not knowing. Stamets is, hoping to have a legacy, which I don't know why he doesn't realize that the spore drive is his legacy. I don't remember why that doesn't count, but anyways, I think he should be satisfied with
There's
that.
something about the spore drives being kind of like discontinued and like a one-off thing, and it won't become like, it's not like the warp drive where it becomes like the standard. So he feels kind of like, I think that's where
right.
the sentiment comes from.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you're right. Anyways, Saru finds his game in politics and gets married, which is cool, all that stuff. But anyways, in the meantime, on the progenitor tech, Maul, kind of in her haste to bring her dead prince boyfriend back to life, hastily puts together a pattern on the progenitor tech that she thinks is going to make it work, but it turns out to not be correct, and so the device initiates a protocol to kind of freeze her or whatever. But Burnham saves the day. She's been following all the clues. She's been paying attention, and so she takes the time to create the shape that actually activates the device. And then she meets one of the progenitors who we've met before in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Very cool. And she learns that they didn't actually create the device, that it was already there and they discovered it. So someone else created it. And they used it because at the time when they found it, they were pretty much the only sentient species in the entire galaxy, I'm assuming. And so they decide to create life with it. They used it to create all kinds of diverse species, but all from the same kind of core, as we learned in Star Trek TNG. And it sends a really great message that we're all connected despite our differences. And now that Burnham is here, she's being entrusted with being the steward of the technology, and she gets to decide what to do with it. But she decides, after much thought, she decides that the best thing to do would be to get rid of it. And to everyone's kind of protest, but ultimately realizing that she's probably right, especially when you realize the power that the technology has. Sadly, they're not able to use the technology to bring Locke back, so Maul's disappointed, but she has to face reality, I guess. And I like that moment where the progenitor says, you can replace the life with the same exact like genetic equivalent, like a clone or whatever, but what makes the person who they are, their memories, their experiences, that cannot be replaced or replicated. And I think that's true. I think that's a really interesting concept. So anyways, Burnham does that, and then we flash forward to a time in the not too distant future, but in the future of her life, and she's settled. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot the wedding. Everyone was excited about the wedding. Then we get a wedding with Saru. We get the reveal of Agent Daniels.
The wedding rocked, dude. Don't forget the wedding. Come on, the wedding. I was pumping that thing for weeks.
I know you were so excited about you're so excited about the wedding. It's true. You got your wish. Anyways, then we flash forward to the future where Discovery is about to go on her final mission, and we see Burnham and Booker happily married, and we see that they have a wonderful, handsome son who's a captain, Leto, named after his nephew who died tragically. They live on this planet that I guess is the new Quajon, because we see where Book had put those whales in season 3. And Burnham's son escorts her to the Discovery, and we find that she's being retrofitted, not refitted, but retrofitted back to her original condition so that she can go on this one final mission, which we find out about in Calypso. And she has this kind of moment, old Lady Burnham, like Old Man Picard, has this moment where she like imagines her crew and everyone young again. It's really pretty. And then she takes Discovery off on her final journey, and we get the fanfare, and voila, Bob's your uncle. Did I do a good job? Was it under 4 minutes?
No, but you did a good
Not
job.
quite, but you did a good job.
So now, what did we think of the episode?
Look, I thought it was a really really cool concept to wrap up the season arc, and essentially this finale is all about the search for God and life and all that stuff. But it's done way better than the Final Frontier. So
Indeed.
yes, so I appreciated Michelle Paradise really going for a big swing in her last Star Trek episode that she wrote. So I really really appreciated it. And it's nice seeing a crew that I've followed for uh, 5 years, wrap up and finally get to rest and finally get to move on and find some happiness. Uh, you know, some personal happiness, I should say.
Yeah, I have to say it was a pretty perfect series finale and season finale. No big complaints, just little minor nitpicks like the hurricane planet. How like why would it be up there? And I don't know, but like, like and the wind, all those things. But whatever. Discovery, is not the first Star Trek series to defy physics and gravity and all that stuff and convention. You just named Star Trek 5, so yeah, it's a good example. But you got to have a little silliness, I guess. But yeah, I thought it was a really solid ending to the series, as I said in my opening statement about the whole show. I especially just like where everyone ends up, and I think that the show leaves it, even though you have this like ending that flashes forward and kind of shows us, Admiral Burnham, kind of winding down and like, kind of hints at the future, and it doesn't really give us a lot, but there's still room for more Discovery. In fact, I would have loved it if we immediately got a Discovery made for streaming movie instead of Section 31. Oh, cool. They're going to delay Text Track for 10 minutes, so we have a little bit more time. Thanks, Fathery. But I would say that I would say that like overall, I think it achieved a nice ending to these characters, but in a way that allows us to continue. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, did I get this right, that Mary Wiseman is going to be a regular guest star on, or is that just me wishfully thinking on Starfleet Academy?
She's main cast, is she not?
No.
No. Look, I've heard that she's going to be a guest star, but she's probably going to reoccur or be a guest star for sure.
Okay.
Toddy. So there's two kind of parts to this, because you talked about like the epilogue to this episode. So like flat out, I'll say it. Everything that concerns Book and Burnham is like 1,000 times better in my book than anything else that this show has done. And I could just watch a show of Burnham and Book being together. I could watch them go on missions, or I could watch them stay at home and drink tea.
Make coffee.
Like that's my show. I would love that. And to see, like, I know that everyone called Burnham the mutineer and everything, and I get it. Like, that was the whole kind of like shebang, like in the beginning. But like to give Book and to give Burnham this happy ending and this happy moment was very, very meaningful to me and very important, and I liked it a lot, especially considering like what kind of trauma they both went through. Like, Book lost the entire planet and what have you. So that was beautiful for me.
Yeah, the Book and Burnham relationship worked a whole lot better than her relationship with Ash Tyler. Their relationship showed so many levels of sincerity that the Ash Tyler relationship kind of didn't. The Ash Tyler relationship came from, I believe, circumstances and sort of the situation that they were in, and the Book and Burnham relationship came from a place of actual love and respect and and all this stuff. What did you think about Burnham's journey as a character from season 1 to season 5? Were you happy with the way that the writers, fiddled with her character from the beginning to the end, or were you kind of one of those dissatisfied fans?
No, I'm pretty satisfied to be honest. Would I have I wouldn't have done it this way at all. And if I was, creative control of the show, like I would have either went for like Burnham was captain from day one, and I would have had just, this lady is a captain as much as all of these other captains that were followed throughout the eras of Star Trek, or I would have kept her as like a number one, but I would have kind of like given us a show through the perspective of a first officer, so someone that doesn't have access to all of the information, and I would have had some of the intrigues be based around the fact that sometimes she doesn't know what's going on. They chose to kind of go with both. They chose to like have her as like a number one, and then she gets demoted and she has to kind of climb back through the ranks. It's an interesting journey. Did they do it the way I would have done it every single I guess twist and turn? Not necessarily.
Yeah,
So House's computer died. I forgot to plug it in. But no. To finish off, no, I am satisfied with her being captain. I'm satisfied with her captaincy, and I'm satisfied with her like getting like some personal resolution. And this is a very personal perspective, but I have trouble with kind of like on and off relationships just for the sake of drama in shows. And I really liked how this particular season addressed their relationship. Like they were not together. It was awkward. They talked about it. They're like, yo, it's weird. And then it gets to a point where they're like we love each other. Like we know it. You know it. I know it. Let's just do this. You know what I mean? And I like that. That made sense to me.
right. The relationship felt naturalistic. To me, you mentioned in our in your opening comments of the stream, you mentioned that you weren't particularly happy with their jump to the future. Would you have accepted the jump to the future if the show would have started there?
I think so. More so. I wasn't necessarily unhappy with the jump to the future. I think it worked very well once they were there. It was just it felt like Star Trek Discovery kind of giving up, because I feel like it had one start, which was the pilot. Then it had a second start, which is like episode 3. And then it had a third start, which is season 2, because they bring in Pike. And then it feels like they have another start, and it feels like they're conceding, right? Like you get to season 3 and it's like the show gives up. It's like, we tried Klingons, it didn't work. We tried Section 31, it wasn't good. We tried the Mirror Universe, I liked it. Apparently it didn't work. So it's like we're doing something completely new. And it's like, I get it. You want a fresh start. They even changed the logo and everything. They're like, we're doing it all different, and it felt kind of strange, but it worked very well. Had it been like an episode 1 decision, I think it would have worked even better, because it would have been like a concept show, like Voyager, right? They get swung to the Delta Quadrant. Episode
Right. It would have been a ship in a bottle episode.
Yeah.
I personally would have. I mean, hindsight is 2020, so I personally would have liked it if they would have actually not said that Discovery was a prequel to the original series, and start with the storyline for season 3, and don't connect it to what has come before. But I hear, I'm one of those writers who says move forward instead of moving back. But that's just me.
I was almost expecting them to pull out some sort of time loop paradox type shit at the end of the show that would retcon like the ship always being from the future, and it had wound up in the past.
Oh, interesting.
And like everyone had kind of forgotten about it, or there was something where Zora was the only one that was aware, and she was secretly still like on that ship throughout the first 2 seasons. And I thought that and it was like, one of those Data, like when Data remembers what's going on and he has the clues. I thought they were going to pull off one of those things. And it's like,
Wow.
oh, that's why the ship was so advanced, and it was in that era, and it would have like kind of retconned it into place.
Look at you.
But no, they didn't.
I like that idea.
So everything in the episode that didn't concern specifically like Book and Burnham, that wasn't their little epilogue there, I think it was good. I think it was solid. Like I was very happy with having Saru finding happiness, because I've always felt like a very kind of like deep sadness for Saru, knowing that he left his planet. You know what I mean? It's an immense sacrifice that he that he had to make there. And then I don't know, like I feel like the story did wrap up quite well. Did I particularly enjoy the bad guys, Mark and what's her name? I don't know, not necessarily Maul,
Lock and Maul. Maul.
yeah, Maul and Locke or whatever. I don't know. I
So-
wasn't enthralled with who they were.
Yeah, sounds like they're going to the mall. Sorry.
Yeah. But like I think that for what it was worth, like that finale wrapped up that specific story quite well. Yeah.
What did you guys think of the progenitor technology and how that all came about and the tie into TNG?
That was really, really cool. Like I was really expecting so many things when Michael jumped into the sort of obvious thing, but having it tie back to my favorite era in Star Trek ever was just a cherry on top. I just yeah, it was a little, like I said, it was a cool concept that was executed fairly well, and I like the questions that were asked of that Burnham asked, and the questions that this episode asked about this episode asked about human civilization and things like that. I thought it was a very, very heady thing to do.
Very Star Trek the motion picture esque. I
Yes.
thought with that
Yep.
that stuff. Yeah. What about you, Toddy?
What was the question?
What'd you think of the actual progenitor, seeing the actual technology and like meeting the progenitor and all that whole story?
In terms of like what Marcelo was saying, I'm kind of in the same boat. I've always absolutely loved that episode, and I've always been intrigued. I've always wanted to see more of it, and I always thought it could be like a great subplot to whatever show came after like TNG. You know what I mean? And they could have like scientists in the background like kind of studying this thing. So the fact that they harken back to that and like really gave us
gave us that backstory of what happened with the scientists.
Yeah, that was really,
like
really
Romulan.
cool.
Yeah, it was very cool.
I didn't so much enjoy necessarily like the adventures they went on in this season, more so as I really like enjoyed hearing about and learning about like all of these different scientists that we actually see. You know what I mean? Like we see most of them in the episode. What are they doing? What's going on? I thought that was really cool. The technology itself, I feel like it's enigmatic. It's so powerful and so beyond like anything that we could comprehend. That it is kind of like, I don't know.
Which I like that they did. I like that you still don't really understand it. That even the progenitors themselves, they discovered it. They didn't create it. Like we don't really know who did. I like that thing that Burnham says at the end. She's like, throwing this thing into the black hole. We trust that whoever created it, if they want to, could just create another
that
one.
makes
like,
absolute sense.
Yeah,
you don't like happen upon this kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like if you're powerful enough to make it, then you make it. So it makes absolute sense. And I did like the conclusion to that. I like the decision that she made.
Any speculation as to who the actual creators of the device might be?
The koala.
From the koala. It's the koala.
Like,
yes.
I like that.
Right?
I'll go with that.
Canon.
It is canon. It's true. It's true. That's my head canon from now on. It's the koala for sure. What did you think of like the final battle with we'll call it the battle of the binary black holes, which is funny because these the show starts with the battle of the binary stars. Could those binary stars have turned into these binary black holes?
It's possible.
There's a lot of tie-ins, interestingly, into episode 1. Like later on at the end,
I didn't even think of that. Wow.
Later on at the end, Leto is supposed to go to Crepuscula, which is where they start off. Her and Giorgio, Captain Giorgio, they were on that planet Crepuscula or whatever it was. But those were the Crepusculans. Remember that they got the waters for, that they did the well for, whatever. There was another reference I forget, but there's a lot of references to episode 1, and then this ties in nicely to that. And I always love that kind of stuff. But yeah, what did you guys think of the battle?
And it was cool. It was cool to see Mike. I mean, it was cool to see the Discovery crew in danger one more time and see them put themselves on the line to save essentially the universe. That was very, very fulfilling. And it was just really great.
I liked the solution and how, like, Rainer's asking, like, can we do this thing? Can we jump, the whole entire Breen ship and whatever? And at first, Tilly's like, no, that's impossible. But then she's like, maybe. And then Stamets, he's like, you can't do that. That's crazy. And then he's like, well, actually, if you did this, and then Adira joins in, that's like a trope that you see often in Star Trek. And it works every time for me. It doesn't get old. I love it when they do those kinds of, like, plays, everyone bounces off each other and like puts in a part, a piece of the puzzle to come up with a solution. And then even Rainer, with his character and what he's been through with the Breen, sending them to the barrier, he's like that, that moment of satisfaction of, that's better than they did for my family, but at least they're not going to die. That's take them like a long time to get back home, or whatever.
You touch on something interesting. Big battles aren't necessarily like my favorite way to conclude a show. But like it works when you have character moments kind of like punctuating the battles. And I think that Reyna's arc throughout this whole like season was something that I really latched onto. Like I really liked kind of like him, and I really liked like what he went through and how he grew and how he changed. But I also liked how they made sure the writers on the show made sure to show us that the crew also grew and connected to him. It wasn't just him, like everyone met each other halfway in a sense. And at the end of it, like this battle isn't just like the conclusive like explosion to like the fight with the Breen. It also is like the climax of them working together. And it's like, look, there's the Discovery crew functions in this kind of way, and this Reyna guy, he functions this way. But if we take the best of both worlds, if we take the best from like these two kind of different people, then we can have the best kind of like positive outcome from it. So I like that a lot, and I really like the idea of like jumping something else. I think that was really cool. I think it's like
it was a really good moment.
We haven't really seen an upgrade, so to speak, or like a changing in the powers of the Discovery ship so much since basically it got that massive upgrade in season 3. But like the spore drive in itself, like like the last time we saw something really, really different was, I think, when they would, because they were jumping multiple times all around the same ship or something like that. There was one time where they jumped inside inside a media, like inside
that
a
was
rock.
season 1. Yeah,
that was really cool.
Well, the jumping to get the coordinates of that was in season 1, and then I remember the rock thing.
So there's different ways to use the spore drive that I think is interesting, that like they kind of out of the box ways to use the spore drive, and I think this was one of them. So we hadn't had one of those, I feel like, in quite a while, so it was really cool to see that.
A spore moment. I like that.
A spore
Also,
drive
in the
moment.
midst of this battle, we had Saru's cool sort of cowboy diplomacy with the Breen commander, the Primarch. What was it, Tahal? Primarch Tahal, and I thought that was great. Like when he's like, "My species are a predator, and I've been watching you like prey," and he just like kind of gets the Primarch to do what he wants. Like I thought that was a really good moment. So Saru got his big win. As we're getting towards tech struck time, Marcelo, I want to talk about the wedding, the Saru. I promised you we would do this, and I actually. So, did it meet your expectations? Were you happy about
Yeah,
the
yeah,
wedding? Like,
yeah,
how
yeah,
did it turn out?
yeah. The wedding was, the bomb because look, my favorite character on Discovery was Saru, and I always wanted him to get his happy ending because at the beginning of the show, and this is where my love and hate relationship comes in with Michael. At the beginning of the show, I always felt that Saru was the short man on the totem pole. I mean, one of my favorite moments in Discovery is early on in season 3 when the crew finds Burnham for the first time, and Burnham comes on to the bridge with her dreadlocks, and and Saru says, "You should sit in the chair." And Burnham says, you sit in the chair." Like that literally is like one of the highlights of the entire show for me. It's like I'm so happy that Saru got his uh um position in the Federation, or being a representative for the Federation, and I'm happy that the guy got married.
I agree with Jill. Torino was such a great addition to the show, and they just like had just like Book and Burnham have great chemistry. Like Torina and Saru have really great awkward chemistry as well, and I enjoyed watching their relationship developed. I appreciated the wedding. I was a little I wanted to see more of the actual wedding and stuff like that, but I know you only have so much time to do stuff, so I'm glad that they got that moment and that everyone was gathered together. I thought it was a little rude that Book and Burnham just leave on this red directive mission in the middle of the wedding, but maybe it has time travel shenanigans and they come back before the wedding ends. So maybe they actually like came back. So that's fine with me too. What about you, Toddy, about the wedding?
I was very much a fan of that. I think we have conversations about like Saru and Torina in the beginning, like when they first started introducing the characters.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like we did. It's been a while since we've had those
yeah, it's been
discussions,
a
but yeah,
minute,
I feel
but
like we
no,
did.
no, I was very happy with. Like I so it's funny because like would they necessarily be my closest friends in real life? This Saru and Torina couple, maybe not. Like maybe they're not exactly the kind of people that I would hang out with. But like the actors portrayed the characters so well. Like it really does feel like this kind of awkward Vulcan, or she's not, is she Vulcan? She's like half Vulcan, half
She's
she's
half Romulan. She's
she's
like,
Navarian,
yeah,
right? Like,
Navarin. She's a full Navarin, I guess. Yeah,
okay,
it's
so yeah, so it's like this awkward,
true.
and then Saru, he's always been kind of like awkward as well, you know what I mean? But it,
Yeah,
it works so well. Like I think the actors did such a good job. The chemistry works. And then just seeing this romance unfold, with no, there was no true upsets, there was no true drama. It was just, the romantic story advances, and I enjoyed that. And so getting a wedding, yeah, it was nice. I do agree with you. It was kind of awkward to see the other two leave, but then I was thinking, I guess when you're friends with Burnham, you got to expect the unexpected, right? Like
yeah, it's
she has
true.
a tendency of just doing things.
um, don't kill me, but Burnham had chemistry with Tyler too, and lots of other people in a platonic sense. I agree that they had chemistry. My mom certainly misses Shazad Latif. She always asks about him. When is he coming back to the show? In fact, one of the things she didn't like about Section 31 is that she actually thought that Shazad Latif was going to be in it. And
Oh no.
so she was upset that he wasn't in it. She's
Mm,
like, oh, this is that movie about. She remembered that he was in Section 31, and she's like, oh, this is that movie about Shazad Latif. I'm like, no,
no. They
No.
canceled him.
He's-
I will say this, Jill.
Can you hear me? Clem Fandango, can you hear me? Sorry. I had
um,
to-
Jill, like my back catalog on one of those videos on Trek on the Tube, before Discovery came out, I made a video about the news that they announced Sonequa Mountain Green as like main, and I talk about it because she was in the Walking Dead at that point, and so they literally killed like the character in the Walking Dead. They gave her a really cool death, to be fair, but they killed her off so that she could go and do Discovery. And I made a point of
Oh.
saying she was one of the standout actors in that show because she nails emotion. She's like really, really good at emotion. And then all of a sudden they cast her as like some sort of like human wanting to be Vulcan that like she's got no emotions going on or whatever.
But she
I'm
did
like,
it well. I thought that was
what are
great.
they doing?
Yeah.
What are they doing? And then now she like, you know, in these later seasons she was able to really emote and get it all out.
Yeah.
Then they hypercompensated, of course. They made her cry all the time for a bit.
I liked it. I thought she could cry.
But like
you can cry. If
by
you
the
want
end
to.
of it, we're good. Like, you know what I mean? Like this. So
Yeah.
yes, yeah, she has good chemistry with most actors, and I think
Right.
she did a lot of the heavy lifting in the Tyler relationship. To be fair,
Yeah, but Tyler ended up being kind of a messed up DICK. So I'm glad that she ended up with Book and found someone who didn't have all that weird baggage of being
he quite
spliced with-
literally had probably a messed up DICK because of the the operations and whatnot.
Because of that thing, yeah.
Wow.
or DICKS, if I may say so myself, because
It was just
the
shriveled little thing.
The ultimate sacrifice for a Klingon. It just still to this day now I can't see Worf or any of the Klingons the same anymore. Now knowing what I know now, for Discovery changed that forever. Kovic revealed as Daniels.
Someone said in the comments they didn't like it.
Who? I didn't see that.
Who
As-
said this?
I don't know. As somebody who
Oh, it was Jill. I
It was Jill.
I think it was
as
Jill.
somebody who loves Enterprise to the depths of my soul. When that happened, I was like, "Oh my god, they make Cronenberg Daniels!" I jumped out of my goddamn seat. I don't care. That was my nerd moment. It was amazing.
Jill says they ruined Kovic for me because I think I think it would have been fine to keep him mysterious, and I think that's where you're going with that, Jill. Like to not to have sprung that mystery, like to just have kept him, kept audiences wondering. Oh, Benji didn't like it either. Look
It
at that.
didn't ruin Kovic for me. It left Kovic exactly where he was. It did save Daniels for me though, because Daniels was
Because
like,
you didn't like Daniels.
not necessarily. I was like, yeah, but like to see to think that this is the same character, it means that he went on a really incredible journey himself, and he's changed as a person, and as like he's grown a lot as an individual, and I thought that was really cool. And I feel like the way that they did it was interesting because it's almost like the mystery is still very much alive, but we're like Burnham, we're in on it. You know what I mean? We're in on the
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean.
we're in the
yeah.
loop, but the mystery is still there. So I like that.
It was touching to see the references to all the other Star Treks, like Cisco's baseball and Geordi's visor and Chateau Picard. So that was nice. But yeah, interesting. I didn't expect more people in the audience didn't like it. I thought it was just Jill. For me, I
would
could
have
take it or
accepted
leave.
Future Guy as well.
I could take it as take it or leave it. It doesn't.
But
it
I'm
didn't
still
affect me.
expecting to see Scott Bakula come back to Star Trek as Future Guy.
Oh, you think is that what the going theory is? Is that Future Guy is actually Captain Archer?
I think it was supposed to be Archer.
Oh, that was like gotcha.
Yeah. And so my headspace is that eventually he'll come back, like as like old man Scott Bakula, old man Archer, as the Future Guy from another timeline, perhaps.
The last thing is, I really loved. Oh, that was the other reference to the pilot. The first episode was, she calls that. I wonder what Toddy calls it. The deer. I call it the deer bird. When Burnham's out there, like putting up the fence, and then the deer bird comes. Is that what you would call it, Toddy?
That seems appropriate. Yeah.
Well, she calls the deer bird Alice, and I think it's wonderful because the Alice in Wonderland stuff was very prevalent in season 1, especially in a couple of with when
Spock.
Spock and all that stuff. Well, that was season 2, but Burnham talks about Alice in Wonderland in season 1 when she's crawling through the Jeffries tubes, running away from.
No, we get young Spock in season 1 too, I think.
Oh, you're right. We do. You do.
Because we get
And-
the Vulcan Science Institute and everything.
That's right. But anyways, so yeah, all that tied in nicely, I thought, as well. But I guess we've already talked a little about Book and Burnham and their life and Leto the Sun. That's all very cool. How did you guys feel about the way they wrapped it up and tied it into Calypso? Because that was the big thing. Everyone wanted it to be answered, right? Like the Calypso question. So we'll end on that as our we'll say our final thoughts and ratings, but that'll be our last topic for tonight is the Calypso tie-in. I personally loved it. I immediately watched Calypso again after Discovery ended, and I thought it was even sweeter knowing what happens. I think they did as nice a job of just answering that question of when does showing the disco being retrofitted and all that stuff. It just kind of like nicely tied a nice little bow on the Calypso mystery.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% because I really loved it. Like the corners of the fandom that I was in leading up to the finale were like, no, they're not going to do it. And I'm like, guys, it's so easy. You could just come on. They're going to do it. So when they did it, I was very, very pleased. So I'm with you 110% on that.
Jill said, my greatest wishes for finale were 1, don't explain Kovich, and 2, tie up Calypso. What about you, Toddy?
I guess I'm the party pooper. I really didn't give a shit. I mean, from a very kind of like pragmatic canonical standpoint, I'm happy that they tied it in, so I don't have to headcanon it in. So it works. But was I specifically looking for this? No. Like
you were just like, oh, that's just a short trek. It's all
no,
good.
but I was satisfied with the existence of it's a solid short treks episode, I think, with some very solid acting and a nice concept, and the fact that it just existed kind of in its bubble was fine with me. But I'm fine with it happening and how they tied it in. But I wasn't necessarily looking for that.
All right. Well, this was really fun. Was there anything you guys wanted to pipe in that we didn't talk about, audience?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I think we did a pretty good job of discussing the finale here. Yeah, I think we covered everything. Marcelo, this is the longest gap between episodes to finish off a discussion series, so I appreciate your patience. Toddy, I'm so glad you got to join us because now you're complete.
Is it my fault? Were we waiting for me?
No. I had issues, but then it got so long that you were like, oh, I'm about to finish Discovery, so I was like, let's just wait a little longer and get you in on it too. So yeah, it was really nice.
It's been a long time for me and Sohail.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, because I was able to talk about it is. So I'll say this: it's meaningful that Discovery ends. Like, it's a thing, because even if I haven't always gotten along so much with the show, it is the show that kind of started this journey off, and so to see it kind of end, even if it has successes and whatnot, Strange New Worlds, it's something. The show's ending. It means something that Discovery ends. So yeah. So thank you for taking the time to talk about it with me.
Well, I wanted to say thank you to Star Trek Discovery. Thanks for kicking off this new era of Star Trek and for kicking off all kinds of fun things and relationships and friendships. And we've started this little TQIF tradition and all kinds of streams and, fun. Just like it's been fun, and it continues to be fun. There's a lot more Star Trek ahead of us. A lot more Star Trek to debate, to love, to hate, to,
TQIF.
What's that? Yeah, tonight's TQIF. Up next.
So this is the first TQIF I've been part of. Is it?
Oh, you've never been in a TQIF. That's so awesome.
I think so.
That's so amazing. That's very cool. Really quickly, ratings for Star Trek Discovery's finale. I give the finale a 12 out of 10. I thought it was phenomenal. It gets a 12. I don't remember what I rated All Good Things, probably Infinity, so it's still safe as the best the best finale in my book. And overall as a series, I got to give Discovery a nice solid 8. I think as a whole show, it was a solid 8 in my opinion. What about you guys?
For the finale, I'll give it a 7 for the whole series. Damn. Oh hell. I'll give it I'll give it a 9.
All right, and Toddy for this finale.
Jesus, I mean the finale.
And
I'll
you
give
got to
it
answer
maybe-
this question real quick. Toddy, any news and update on your timeline?
Yes, Monday. It should be coming out Monday.
Ooh, that's really close.
That's really bloody close. Maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot there with that one, but no, we're working on it. There's a couple of things that we want to change. I keep on seeing little details that I want to tweak, but like it's in the works. Like this home stretch home run is this weekend, so we're working on it. Hopefully, we can release it by Monday.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, it got a bit late.
So thank you, gentlemen, for being on. Marcelo, where can folks find you?
Yeah, you can find me anywhere on YouTube at Balloonhead Productions.
Excellent. And Toddy, of course, on Trek on the Tube. You can find me here. Hopefully, we'll be streaming a lot more regularly. Everyone go over to Text Trek and tune in to their discussion, which is starting next. And then I think later tonight at 7 Pacific, the Salon's going to be on too. So it is a TQIF. It's kind of awesome. Like, must see YouTube, right? All right, so
This is the event.
I'm glad we got to kick it off. That's nice. All right, live long and prosper, everyone, and we will see you next time.